Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I'm going to show you all how I was able to do a samurai solo run in the week 3 in Nightmare Story Mode and Ghost of Tsushima. But before I get into that, I'm going to show you guys which techniques I was using for the samurai class, as well as what gear I was using. And while I show you guys the gameplay of me doing this solo run, I'm going to go more in depth and explain my playstyle, and I'm going to get more into why I chose each piece of gear and each stat for each piece of gear that I have. Alright guys, so before I get into the explanations of this guide, I just want to let you guys know that if you run a build like the one I'm showing you in this video, or at least something similar, you guys are going to have a very easy time running solos and nightmare story modes. It's funny because I actually ended up doing this week 3 nightmare story mode twice by myself by accident, because the first time I did it I realized I did not get my level 110 item, but that was because I didn't find the scroll and I wasn't able to do the treasure chest, right? Because you need 2 people for that. So I was like, well, that did seem kind of easy. Maybe I did it on gold difficulty by accident. But it turns out, I did it again. I was like, oh, I just did this on nightmare difficulty twice. So that just goes to show you how good this samurai class is in general. And if you apply these steps that I'm going to explain in this video, you guys are going to have a very easy time doing solo runs. Alright, so we have a lot to cover, but the first thing I want to talk about is which techniques I use and why I use them. So the first technique for this build is going to be called Spirit Pull. Now what this does is it drains health from an enemy target and it transfers it to you, which is pretty good in itself, but when this technique is combined with blessed strikes from your samurai charm, that's going to allow you to gain a lot of your health back incredibly fast while Spirit Pull is active. You'll see me do this many times throughout this gameplay where I might have made a mistake and my health gets low. What I'll do is I'll pop Spirit Pull, and right afterwards I'll either do my ultimate or I'll use one of my resolve points and I'll use a Heavenly Strike, and I'll gain pretty much all of my health back immediately. So it definitely helps a lot, and it makes your samurai build more into a survivability slash tank, slash high damage dealer. It's, you have survivability and you have a lot of damage, so it makes this class very overpowered. Now the next technique is going to be called Defender, and this is going to give you 25 points of extra health. Now I strongly suggest that you choose this over the 10% extra damage, even though I know it looks tempting. I would much rather be a lot harder to kill and have my survivability threshold be a lot higher rather than having just a little bit extra damage, So, I mean, it just synergizes with this class very well, especially when you have Spirit Pull active combined with Blessed Strikes from your Samurai Charm. Your health is just going to be flying back up. Like when you have low health and you just pop Spirit Pull, and you have a higher maximum threshold of health, it's just, you're just a lot harder to kill. Like you turn into a fucking killing machine with a lot of health. Enemy targets are going to have a lot of trouble taking you down, which pretty much makes you into a tank that does a lot of damage. So definitely use Defender. Now for the third technique, I personally chose to use Resolve Increase. Now the reason I chose this technique is because I am using the legendary Stone Striker Katana. Now what this katana does is it allows me to use the Heavenly Strike ability, and in case you don't know, Heavenly Strike is a attack which is unblockable and it does do a lot of damage. And for this katana, if you use Heavenly Strike on an enemy that is staggered, you will do more damage and you will repel nearby enemies, so you'll kind of like stop them in their tracks. They might look at you, or they get fearful of you for a little bit. So overall it's a very good attack. I really love using it, but it does cost 1 extra resolve. And if you're trying to use your ultimate ability and you're combining that with Heavenly Strikes from time to time, that makes this samurai build a little bit dependent on resolve. So by using the Resolve Increase technique, I'm kind of alleviating that problem by having a maximum of 4 resolve instead of just 3. Now, when it comes to the last technique, I chose to use, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Hachimon's Fury. So your ultimate ability is going to be a massive damage dealer. On my katana, I do have bonus melee damage and bonus ultimate damage. So having 5 strikes for your ultimate instead of just 3 because of this technique, you're going to be able to just melt through like a bunch of enemies very quickly, or at the very least, if you're fighting a couple high health Oni targets, you'll still be able to take them down incredibly fast, and you'll see me do that a couple times in this gameplay. So that covers all of the techniques that I use for this samurai build, and before I get into the rest of the gear that I use, I just want to mention really quick on why I chose to use the katana that I'm using that has Heavenly Strikes over a Moon Stance katana that has Moonmaster. You know, the one that a lot of people on YouTube are saying you should be using for this samurai build. The reason I'm not using that katana with Moon Stance over the one I'm using is because it's pretty much just consistency. Like, there's nothing wrong with the Moon Stance katana, and I do know if you have Moonmaster combined with it, which allows you to do 3 heavy attacks in a row, like that does do a lot of damage, and it does heal you back combined with Spirit Pull very quickly. It's just that, you know, sometimes it gets blocked, and I don't know why. That just bothers me, because when I've been using Heavenly Strikes for a while now for this build, and I just much prefer it. I much prefer the consistency of Heavenly Strikes. It's not just good for gaining your health back very quickly while you're using your Spirit Pull technique. It's good for comboing your enemies to death, like uninterrupted. What I'll do, I've done it a few times in this gameplay, I'll dirt throw an enemy, you know, spam square, and when that enemy is about to hit me, I will Heavenly Strike, and I'll just restart the comboing all over again. I'll just spam square, Heavenly Strike, spam attacks, and the one resolve cost from Heavenly Strikes isn't even that big of a deal when you're just like wailing on the enemy target anyways. Like, you gain back that resolve, you know, regardless. So I just think Heavenly Strike is way more consistent. You know, it does more damage, it's faster, it's cooler, it's more satisfying, and it's just good at everything. The whole, oh, it costs one resolve, like, it's not even a problem. Alright, so I much prefer using Heavenly Strikes over the 3 heavy attacks with a Moon Stance katana that has Moonmaster on it. But that's just me. Alright, so now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to talk about all of the gear that I have and all the stats I have for each piece of item that I have. Alright, so even though I already kind of went over it, I'm going to do it again. So I am using the legendary Stone Striker katana, which allows me to use Heavenly Strikes. The stats I have on this katana are bonus melee damage, very important, and bonus ultimate damage. Now remember, you're trying to take out enemies extremely quickly, and any attacks you do combined with Spirit Pull are going to heal you up that much faster if you're able to do more damage. And obviously more damage, you know, you'll be able to kill enemies much faster, so that's a huge plus as well. Now for the second item, this is an item I think a lot of people like really overlook when they're talking about builds or whatever. Like, there hasn't been a single YouTube video I've seen that really goes over the half bow, or I guess I should say your range slot item. So I am using a half bow, and you know, like I just said, people kind of like neglect it, but what matters the most about this item is that, let's say you're in a situation where all of your abilities are on cooldown, you're low on health, you have no resolve, you know, you're kind of panicking. What do? Instead of just, you know, running away completely while the enemies are chasing you, you know, build some distance, play safe, but don't forget that you have a ranged weapon. Use your bow, do a little bit of damage, but most importantly, the bow is going to help you gain your resolve back. And when you have at least one resolve, remember, you can use Heavenly Strike. So you can wait for your Spirit Pull to get off cooldown. As soon as that's ready to be used, you know, pop Spirit Pull, use Heavenly Strike, and your health is back just like that. So with the help of a bow, you can gain your resolve back until you have at least one resolve point. And don't forget, you also have flaming arrows, which you can use that to kind of make an enemy, like slow down an enemy for some time, giving yourself time to get away or giving yourself more time for your abilities to get off cooldown. So with the half bow, the main important thing is to use shield piercing ammo. So like I just said, if you're in that bad situation and you're trying to gain resolve to make sure you're at least a little bit safer by having a heavenly strike up your sleeve, with shield piercing ammo you can make sure you're getting that resolve no matter what, regardless if the enemy has a shield or not, because whether you're the best arrow or whether you're the best at using a bow or not, you just want to make sure you hit them and you just gain that resolve very quickly. Damn, I almost messed up here really bad. Like, just like that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I fucked up, but I pop Spirit Pull, I use Heavenly Strike, and my health just goes right back up. If you guys missed that, rewind it a few seconds and watch what I just did. That's exactly why I love Heavenly Strike. And Spirit Pull. Like, that's honestly like my favorite technique in the whole game, I think. Alright, so let's see. Next gear item is going to be our Samurai Charm. Definitely mandatory. Now with this charm, already talked about Blessed Strikes, but I'll go over it again. Blessed Strikes allows you to gain back your health when you deal damage while Spirit Pull is active, like you just saw. That's exactly what that is for, so that is a must-have. Now as for stats, I have more melee damage, again, kill enemies faster, gain health faster with Spirit Pull. And I also have Resolve Gain. So like I said earlier, where this class is a little bit dependent on Resolve, because you do use Heavenly Strikes from time to time, and you do want to use your ultimate when you need it, it's very beneficial to have Resolve Gain as a stat on your Samurai Charm. Okay, so next I'm going to go over which ghost weapons I use for my samurai build. Alright, so ghost weapon number 1 is going to be Dirt Throw. Now, two main reasons why I use this one is because number 1, when you use it, it stops the enemies in their tracks. They're not going to be hitting you because they'll be kind of incapacitated for a few seconds, which will set you up for a combo or whatever. But most importantly, if you have the Rancid effect combined with Dirt Throw, that is going to apply a weaken effect to any enemy target or targets affected by your Dirt Throw. So when a enemy target is weakened, they will do less damage to you and you will do more damage to them. So like I've already said this a million times, but seriously, more damage means combined with your Spirit Pull, you're going to gain health hella fast, and you're just going to be able to kill the enemy target faster. That's really all you want with this build. You just want to kill shit really fast, and to be able to not die by healing yourself really fast with your attacks. That's what makes this class unkillable. And as for the stats for this Dirt Throw ghost weapon, I like to use cool reduction and damage increase. Now keep in mind, damage increase for ghost weapons is not going to increase your samurai's physical damage, it just increases your ghost weapon damage. So you might be thinking, oh well, why do you want damage increase on Dirt Throw? It doesn't do damage. Well yeah, but like I just said, it does increase ghost weapon damage in general, and my ghost weapon number 2 is going to be Caltrops, like I used like you just saw me use right now. With Caltrops, I like to use them as a extra damage dealer and an extra way of gaining resolve, as well as kind of I like to make sure certain enemies are stuck or slowed down by the Caltrops while I focus on other enemies. So it's very good in that sense as well, but again, it does give you more resolve, it does do damage, and it's very good at, I guess you could say, kiting enemy targets. And as for the stats I have for Caltrops, it's the same as Dirt Throw. I have cooldown reduction and damage increase. Now the damage that Caltrops do aren't like insane or anything, but again, it's very good to use when you want to slow down enemy targets and focus on one specific enemy while not having to worry about other ones, for at least for a few seconds. And the effect that I have on my Caltrops ghost weapon is called Deep Bags, which is going to increase the number of Caltrops dropped onto the ground, while also simultaneously increasing the radius of the ghost weapon. And we can't forget that this ghost weapon is also very useful for survival mode. Like if you're really into playing that, then give Caltrops a try. And like I know most people watching this probably haven't even tried Caltrops. Just like I haven't tried them for the longest time until just recently. And after I used them, I was like, wow, this is actually really good. I would much prefer to use Caltrops over Smoke Bomb and that healing ghost weapon. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's the one that you can just heal yourself with. We don't need any extra healing. Like let's be honest, we have Spirit Pull, and we can just heal ourselves enough with that. Like if you're a decent player and you can pick your fights at the right times, you should always be at full health. So it's kind of pointless to have Smoke Bomb because we won't have any bonus assassination, any bonus stealth damage, and we don't need the extra healing because we're already healing a ton anyway. So I'd rather have Caltrops, which are going to give us the damage and more resolve and the ability to kite our enemy targets and slow them down. So I think all those things are much more worth it in comparison to any other ghost weapon for the ghost weapon slot number 2, at least in my opinion. Alright guys, so there's only a few minutes left in this Nightmare Story Mode solo run, so if you guys haven't done so already, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel, as I definitely plan on making more Ghost of Tsushima content in the future. Now at this point I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to talk about, so I'm just gonna, I guess, give you guys some insight on what my thought process was and kind of how I play for the remainder of the video. So at this point I was getting a little bit cocky and a little bit impatient, but that's pretty much how you die. Like besides getting overly cocky, the only way you can die really by using this build is if you make too many mistakes one right after the other. So even though this class is very tanky, like all it takes is just a couple mistakes and you get hit a couple times and you're dead, especially on Nightmare difficulty. So I was really trying to play it safe. Funny thing about this fight right here, I remember I wasted a Heavenly Strike just to kill this shielded target because I was getting impatient. I could have just waited and saved it, but again, I was really eager to make this video. Like I couldn't wait. So I would have been much better off just saving that resolve in case I really needed it. At this point, I don't know why I was trying to go for assassinations. Like it's not like I do any extra damage doing them. I think it's just a habit because I started playing Ghost of Tsushima Legends with a assassin class, so it's kind of a bad habit with my samurai class. Speaking of which, it's funny because just the other day I made a video talking about why I think this game deserves to be Game of the Year, and in that video I briefly mentioned like why I think Assassin is like really badass or like the coolest class, and here I am a few days later playing Samurai and I'm just like, no fucking way. Samurai class is just way too much fun. Is it better than Assassin? I think so. In my opinion, I think it is better than Assassin, but I mean, Assassin is still very good, especially in certain situations, but Samurai is just so fucking badass. You're a fucking tank, bro, if you play Samurai, especially with this build. Like you just can't die. Especially like I just mentioned, like the only way you die is if you make a few mistakes right after one another, but as long as you play smart, you pick your fights right, dirt throw, spam attacks, heavenly strike, heal yourself back up, like you're fine, bro. Like you're not gonna die. Damn, that ultimate ability does so much damage. Almost killed both of them with just one ultimate. And this guy is the last one alive, so again, I'm trying really hard not to just be stupid and just, spam him to death. But I'm trying my darndest to just play smart. It would suck to die at this point, I'd be so pissed. That is a very good example of how to take down an enemy. Like I mentioned a bunch of times earlier. You dirt throw, weaken the target. I spammed my heavy attacks on him, and when he tried to hit me, I just heavenly striked. I stopped his attack and I finished him off. So, anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. I hope you learned a lot, and I will see you guys in my next video.